Okay, so we are live today again, and we are going to discuss today. Of course, we'll address all the immigration questions that you might have, so feel free to put them in the chat. And as I get to it, I'll be more than happy to address them. As usual, please ignore where I'm looking, where my eyes are. I have like three different screens, three different cameras, and I look depending on where the chats are popping up. So we are live on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Hello there, Shafiq. And today we are going to discuss the difference between temporary visas and immigrant visas, or temporary status or permanent status. So let's go over that again. So what are we talking about today? Today we are addressing your immigration questions. And in addition to those immigration questions, we are addressing the difference between temporary visas and permanent status, okay? Again, I am a US immigration attorney. I can only address your US immigration questions. I cannot address immigration to Canada, immigration to Portugal, and so on, since those seem to be very popular these days. Okay, so before I get into this thing, let's see if we have some questions. I see one here. All right, can I get a green card based on my research publications? Maybe. It really depends. You can get, if you are an outstanding researcher or professor, you can get a national interest waiver depending on your research and how much is that of national importance to the United States. I assume you have an advanced degree, so that by itself may give you different options. The best option is the best avenue, the best first step is always to consult with an experienced immigration attorney. The reason for that is you want someone to look at you. There are no two people alike in this world. DNA can tell you that, okay? So you want to have someone who can look at your immigration history, family history, education, experience, research publications, okay? You want somebody to look at that and give you advice personalized to you. What I discuss here is very general in nature and might not necessarily give you the answers that you need. Okay, so Fidelis, I hope that one helped you. And feel free to give us a call if you would like more, or if you would like for us to help you see if that enables you to come to the United States, either with a temporary option or a permanent option. So speaking of that, to give us a call, 954-466-0070. Okay? Can you about Afghanistan people? What would you like me to tell you about that? Give me more information and I'll address it. So let's talk about, since Fidel already asked about the questions about research publication, let's start first with permanent options, okay, to come to the United States. Generally speaking, there are 5 ways to come to the United States, to be here and to have permanent residency. Remember, you need permanent residency before you apply for US citizenship. So to obtain permanent residency, generally 5 options. Option number 1, green card lottery, DV lottery. You apply every year if you are from one of those countries that allow you to apply. Okay. Option number 2, you are already in the United States and you are applying for asylum because of past persecution or because of fear of future persecution if you were to return back to your home country. Then we have the typical options: investment, employment, and family. So if you're applying by investment, green card directly, that is, generally speaking, the one that people talk about, EB-5, $1 million in investment, is generally 2 different tiers. It's 800,000 and 1,050,000. So with fees and whatever comes to about 1.1 million on pretty much both of them. So those are your options on investment in terms of permanent residency. Of course, there are other temporary options that may eventually lead to permanent residency, but you need to know what they are. The other two options are employment, which we're going to talk about in a second. So Fidel, I see he's still here, so we'll get to those. And then we have family options. So on family, generally speaking, you need to have an immediate relative, such as a parent or a spouse or a child, who is a U.S. citizen or permanent resident if it's not a parent, who can petition for you in order to come to the United States with a green card. Or if you're in the United States, the process is different, and that definitely can be done. Then, that's on the family side. There are a million other options there. And really, there are a million options. Okay. Yes, we talk generally about the same 10, 15 options all the time, but there are other options out there. Okay. For example, if you have been a victim of a crime, a victim of labor or sex trafficking, you are married to a US citizen who's abusing or neglecting you or really treating you really bad. If you are a child who is under the age of 16, generally sometimes 18, who has been abandoned, neglected, or abused by at least one parent. If you had an employer or a family member petition for you before 1996. I mean, there are a few other very individualized options that there are many people who qualify for them, but if you don't have the lawyer to look into that, or if you go by Google, you're not going to find out. Okay. So in terms of family members, yes, you can sponsor siblings. It just takes forever, minimum 18 years. Right now, I looked at 16 years. I looked for a consultation that I had this morning, and it's 16 to 23 years in most cases. So that's not pleasant. Okay. And then what other options we have in terms of permanent? That's pretty much it. Now let's talk about employment. So Fidel, you're still here. So EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, EB5, okay? Fidel, you already are, you did research. So based on those published research, I'm assuming you have an advanced degree. You have the most options out there. The more educated you are and the more experience you have, the more options you have. And in most cases, when you get to that level, you might not even need a US employer to sponsor you. You might not. So we have EB5, that's the investment. Then we have EB1, national interest, outstanding researchers, professors, advanced degrees, people who are sponsored by their employers, okay? Processing times right now are long for almost all of them. Almost all. If you are already in the United States, there are certain categories under which you can pay extra fees to the government because, you know, they need to make money. And once you pay those fees, it's called premium processing. They have to give you a response in 15 days. 15 business days, so that's 3 weeks. And the response is not always an approval. It could be a request for additional evidence, a notice of intent to deny, a denial. So it's not always necessarily peachy, but it's an option and you get an answer pretty fast. And if you are within status, then you can apply for something else after, or you can fix it and reapply. Then we are talking about EB2s, EB3s, and you need permanent labor certification for those. Processing times are much longer, and for most of those, premium processing is not available, not for all. Okay, so that's on the permanent side. So before we move to the temporary visas options, let me see if I can address some of the questions. I don't see any questions on Insta or YouTube, so let's stick with TikTok for now. If the husband is 18 years younger than the wife, can she get him here? Yes, yes. The largest age difference, we were successful and we were able to get approved with 62 years. Okay, so 18 years younger, yes. Is it going to raise flags? Absolutely is going to raise flags. You have to prove that it is indeed a real marriage, and the husband necessarily being younger, it's not an issue, okay? Can an American get a visa for their girlfriend? They plan to get married. That's a loaded question. With immigration, terminology is critical. Use the words that you mean. Oh, my pleasure. So use the words that you mean to use. If they plan on getting married, okay, did they get engaged? Did they not get engaged? Do they plan on getting engaged? Do they plan on getting married and skipping the engagement? What's going on here? So yes, an American can get a visa for their girlfriend if they're engaged and they plan to get married. That's a fiance, and it's a fiance visa. Do they plan on getting fiance visa first to bring them to the United States, or do they plan on getting married and then bringing them here as a spouse? There are about 3 options right there, okay? There really are about 3 or 4. So absolutely, and those are fantastic. So if you know someone who plans to marry a US citizen or a permanent resident in some cases, not for a fiance visa, but as a spouse, make sure they talk to an immigration attorney, an experienced immigration attorney, before they get married. Depending on where they are, depending on the country, on the processing time at the consulate, previous immigration history, have they been married before, have kids, how long they known each other, all those things. Sometimes it's best if they get married because it's faster, and sometimes it's best if they don't. If they are already married, there is no way to go back and try to do a fiancé. But if they are fiancé and the marriage option is best, then you know what to do next time you visit. So don't make those things lightly, because it could mean a lot of money in difference in the processes and a lot of time. Guys, time you can't get back. Once it's lost, it's lost. Let's see what other questions. Okay, we have, yes, registered in the lottery. Be registered in the lottery. You have to wait until they tell you. Can I join the US Army without a green card? I'm from Africa. No, you cannot. You need to be in the United States first, and then you need to be eligible to join the US Army. I cannot talk as to their enrollment and recruitment efforts, okay? But generally speaking, they want you to be able to at least have a work permit or be a permanent resident, okay? Let's see. Okay, so those are generally what we have. I caught up on the questions so far. Let's see now, temporary, okay? Temporary work visas. Anything the US government does right now, it is because we need to protect the US workers. And at the same time, we need to balance the need to protect the US worker and the American workforce with the need for employees, which seems to be a problem right now, okay? So the government is trying to balance those, and they are passing certain policies all the time, okay? And we need to stick with those. I wake up every morning and I swear I do not know what I wake up to. I do not know what the rules are going to be that day. I have to see. They always change them. They always have something new that they want to implement, or something new that they already implemented, something that it's proposed. For example, since we are here, let me get off on my soapbox. We are in a 60-day comment period in which the filing fees for almost all immigration applications is going to go up. Once the 60 days are up, they are going to make decisions on that. Most of the times, though, they pass the comment period, and we are going to get new fees. To give you an idea, a green card application right now, just the green card application alone, for one person, it's $1,225. It is going up to $2,865, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, 2,800 something. So it is not necessarily easy. It's not making it easy for people to apply. And I honestly feel it discriminates against those who do not have the financials, okay? Not everyone from every country, not everybody's from Switzerland, okay? People from Switzerland can afford more things than people who come from, for argument's sake, Cuba, okay? Anyway, let's address some questions, and then we go over How can I speed up my petition for my single daughter? If you have, you cannot. Generally speaking, you cannot. Depends on where your petition is. If you just filed your I-130, if you have a compelling reason to get your daughter here, she's sick, she needs medical care, you might be able to apply for humanitarian parole. If she is from one of these countries that we just got humanitarian parole now, that is totally different, the special program for Haiti, Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, okay? If it's any of those, then it's a little bit different. Even though your petition is pending, you can still try to get her here. If she is under the age, she might have different options, okay? Other than that, unless you show that you need her here because you need her for emotional support because you're dying, you're not getting it. Is it true that some people can get citizenship in 3 years and not wait 5? Yes, absolutely. So if two categories, okay? You are married to a US citizen who has been a citizen for at least 3 years, and you have been a permanent resident for 3 years. It's actually 2 years and 9 months. Then yes, you can apply for citizenship as long as you are still married and living together. So you don't have to wait for 5 years. Another category of people who can apply, another category of people who can apply for citizenship based on the 3 years is victims of domestic abuse and violence. It's under the Violence Against Women Act. So VAWA applicants, once they are approved and they got their residency, again, they only need to wait 2 years and 9 months before they apply for citizenship. Shafiq, I don't know what you want me to tell you about Afghanistan. It's a country in Asia. I mean, what do you want to know? Give me more questions. Tell me specifically, how does your question address US immigration? And I'll try to help you. I want to address it for you, okay? All right, so temporary options. Generally speaking, H-1B is by far the most used option for temporary work visas. There is a cap every year. It is for people with degrees, okay? People with master's degrees are not subject to the cap. They don't have to wait just for the registration period. People with, say, bachelor's degree, they have to go into the lottery first. If selected in the lottery, then they get to submit their application, and the government is going to look at that. The process takes time. It's costing the employer a lot of money, and it is very hard to find employers who are willing to petition for you and go through the process, mostly because by the time they actually register and enter you in the lottery, they are out of their pocket about $10,000 to $15,000. And if you don't get selected, that is money lost. It has nothing to do with your qualifications. It has not. So they, big employers can do it. They can file for 100 employees. If they get 20 of them, they are happy because they still make the money. Small employers can't do that. And that is the biggest challenge that we see foreign employees having when they are trying to come to the United States on the H-1B or one of those work visas that require an employer to sponsor them, okay? Canadians and Mexicans, for example, have TN visa as an option. That's treaty NAFTA, generally speaking. It's not called treaty NAFTA anymore. It's something else. I don't even know. But it's the same thing. And there is a specific list of professions that you must have, generally science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, accountants, lawyers, some of that. And yes, you need to try to come here on a TN visa. Those are by far, if you're an employer, you want to sponsor someone, if you can get someone from Canada or Mexico, by far the fastest, okay? Australians have other options as well. There is an E3 visa that it's available only for Australians. For those of you who have been here and listening to me this entire time, you can see how many different little things make a difference in what you qualify and you don't qualify for. So don't take this the wrong way. It is very hard to determine who qualifies for what. You're not going to get that on Google. All right. So H-1B TN. E2 and L1 visas, those are investment visas / work visas. If you have a business abroad and you want to come to the United States to open an affiliate or subsidiary, that's an L visa. And if you want to open a brand new business in the United States, then you can do an E2 visa. For the E2 visa, we need to have a treaty between the United States and your country of citizenship, and that will determine whether you are eligible for that visa or not. And of course, the dollar amount for an investment. Everybody wants to know, so what's the dollar amount I need to invest in order to get the visa? It really depends. If you're opening a flower shop, the flower shop is going to be a different investment than if you're opening a medical practice or you're opening a manufacturing plant. It's also going to make a big difference if you're opening the private practice in the center of New York City versus in the middle of Tennessee on the mountain, because the costs are going to be different. It's also going to be different if you're coming with money to invest from, say, Western Europe versus Democratic Republic of Congo, okay? Because the dollar exchange, everything makes a difference, okay? So generally speaking, H-1B, E2, L1, TN, those are the most common. There are also religious visas, athlete visas, professional artists, and so on, okay? No, I do not have an office in Dubai. I can help you even if you are in a different state. Yes, I can. We have clients in 50 states. There is not one state that we are missing at this point. We're not talking territories, we're still talking states. We do not miss anything, and we help people regardless of where they live. We have clients all over the world as well. Let's see, we have some more questions. I only have a limited amount of time at this point, so let's see if we can address them. All right. US visa, working visa, would you like to get one? Do you assist people on that? Once you have an employer and the employer made you a job offer and they are willing to sponsor you, yes, we can help you with the visa. No, we cannot help you get a job. No, we cannot help you find an employer. My daughter is a full-time student, PhD in Fiji Islands, and I'm a citizen, 29 years old. And I'm a citizen, she's 29 years old, I'm assuming. Yes, you can petition for her. If your daughter is a PhD student, you might want to talk to an experienced immigration attorney. It doesn't have to be me if you don't want to. But you might be able to get her here, okay? I petitioned her last year to further her studies here. Okay, and what happens? What happened to that application when you apply for her to further her studies? Okay, yes, if you're in Dubai, if you're in Qatar, we can help. It doesn't matter. The problem is you particularly in person need to find yourself either someone to sponsor you to come to the United States. Generally, that is an employer if you don't have family members. Okay, so I see no more questions and I'm out at the end of my time for today. I will see you guys Monday again at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Oh, can my mom petition for her granddaughter to come to the US? No, your mom needs to petition for you and you need to petition for your daughter, or we need to establish another relative who needs to be able to do that, okay? There is no grandmother, grandfather, grandparent relationship that we can use to get somebody here. I'm an international student in Canada. Can I apply for visitor's visa in the United States? Yes, you can. Absolutely, you can. Okay, it takes forever to get them these days, but that has nothing to do with Canada or where you are. All consulates are very, very slow right now. Okay? All right, guys, I have to go. I have another consultation I need to get into and help some more people. Good to see you. Thank you for sticking out with me here the whole time. I see at least a couple of people, including Fidel. I've seen you here the entire half an hour. Thank you for sticking out with us, okay? Hopefully this was useful. I'll address more questions on Monday. Make your questions as narrow as possible. And I'll see you guys then. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.